A cough syrup was actually linked to the death of 22 children in the state of Madhya Pradesh. And now the news is coming out that there are thousands of, in fact, over 20,000 cough syrup makers. Now the question is, can a single national level regulator regulate so many thousands of cough syrup manufacturers? And can, if there are so many manufacturers, can the quality be ensured? And what is happening? What are the provisions present now? What else we can do in order to ensure that no further deaths take place linked to the cough syrup? Neither cough syrup is used as an alcoholic drink as well. People are using it because it has some amount of alcohol which makes you feel dozy. Now a spoon or two prescribed by doctor is not a problem as such. Make sure that it's prescribed by doctors, but people are drinking bottles of cough syrup just to get the intoxication. So all this and much more is what we will discuss in this lecture. So first things first, what's the news about? The news is about the over 2000, it's not 20,000. I guess I read it 20,000. No, it's over 2,000. So we have around, in fact, over 2,000 cough syrup manufacturers. Now the question is, can regulators effectively monitor more than 2,000 cough syrup manufacturers or not? That is a big question. Now what has happened is, the sales are also quite prominent. In the month of May alone, around 8.5 lakh units were sold, and the cough syrup industry alone has a market value of 6.67 thousand crore rupees. Also, what has happened is, repeated contamination incidents have been happening with respect to the cough syrups, subsequent to which the sales were restricted only to the licensed chemist stores. Only those chemist stores which have the license will only be able to actually sell. That was what was made in order to curb this. Okay. At the same time, government added another regulation that the doctor's prescription is made mandatory. So as a result of which, misuse or for example, the people who should not have it will be stopped from taking it. But the issue is, the doctors are prescribing to someone. Now when they are taking, the syrup that they are getting can also be contaminated. So even after doctor's prescription, there can still be an issue. So let's understand this in more detail. Let us see the scale of manufacturing and the quality concerns. Now the manufacturing of the cough syrup is basically widespread. It is not as if it is concentrated in a single place or anything like that. It is basically widespread. Widespread means it is widespread across the country, at the geographical widespread, not concentrated, difficult to control and monitor. Second, the quality standards, they vary significantly among the companies. Some companies may have high, some companies may have very low. So larger firms, they generally follow good manufacturing practices, sterile production environments, better quality control systems, quality control, quality assurance, but only the big ones. However, when it comes to the smaller manufacturers, they will struggle to maintain the similar standards. So the higher one, the larger ones, brands, if you are taking, you may have some standards maintained, so contamination would be lesser or the chances are less, but not for the smaller ones. Now let us look at the regulatory response after the contamination incident. So basically, there was a Tamil Nadu based manufacturer that was linked to the deaths of at least 22 children, as I mentioned in the beginning, that happened in Madhya Pradesh, right? So the issue with this is, this manufacturer, Tamil Nadu based manufacturers, data was not mentioned, reportedly not present in the central regulator's record. So the central drug regulator that is there, in their record, this manufacturer's data was only not there. That is a big concern, right? Now the information about the manufacturer not being shared with the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, that is the CDSCO, which is the regulator of the drug, or basically in this case the syrup specifically. Now CDSCO, basically it sought information from all the states on the cough syrup manufacturers. Now one thing that should click over here is, because of syrup people died, so it is asking the details of all the cough syrup manufacturers. It should also check on other things as well, because tomorrow some other issue will come, and then in the aftermath it will start asking the details of all those things as well. So of course, with a special emphasis on the cough syrup, you have to investigate, but also ensure and double check the other things as well. That is very sensible. Now, risk-based inspections have been initiated, where the higher risk, more inspections will be done. Now, with respect to the inspection drive and the enforcement actions, let us have a look at that. So 960 companies inspected jointly by CDSCO and the state regulators. So CDSCO is basically a national regulator. In addition to it, each state has its own regulator. Each state and union territory has its own regulator as well. Right. Now, total 860 regulatory actions taken. 860 regulatory actions means not rules and regulations. If some summon or show cause notice is sent, that is one action. Like this, if to 100 people it is sent, that is 100 action. That is why this number seems to be huge, but it is these things involved. Show cause notices, stop production orders, suspension of licenses, cancellation of licenses, product licenses, warning letters, etc. Around 1100 manufacturers subject to intensive audits as well. So that is a good number with respect to more than 50%. But that means that there was a huge issue that it required 1100 manufacturers to be investigated. Now let us look at the key regulatory challenge. First things first, that is, there is just one national regulator. Of course, the national regulator would be one. Issue is the thing is geographically widespread. That's the problem. You have one national regulator, but you do have separate regulators for the states and union territories. So you have a total of 37 regulators. But the major problem is there is no unified national database of manufacturers. Each state is keeping their database. The other state has their, right? They do not share the data among themselves. There is no centralized data as such of all the manufacturers. So who is doing what? No one knows, right? The information is lacking. Of course, you know a lot of things, but the information is lacking. Regulatory information basically remains fragmented. Drugs can move freely across the state. One state has the data of X manufacturer. This X manufacturer is moving in the other state. The other state does not have the data. The other state is not doing anything with respect to that. Only GST and all is being checked, the e-way bill and stuff. But the product quality and all, nothing is being done about that. Now, the question is, why do contaminants continue to enter the supply chain? Right. See, basically, failure to test the raw materials. It violates the good manufacturing practice requirement. First things first, you have to test the raw material. Right. Process is also another thing, but first comes the testing of the raw material. Second, weak enforcement. It reduces the deterrence against non-compliance. Right. So what is the solution, guys, over here? This reminds me of one comparison that I have over here for you. It's important for your prelims with respect to science and tech. This is the syrup that we are talking about. What is syrup and what is suspension? See, syrup is basically a product which is made by certain particles which are completely dissolved in the liquid. We have shown you like this dot 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 so that you can see that there is something dissolved, but you will not be able to identify as such. Whereas a suspension is a one in which the particles will be big. Of course, it will be visible, it will be identifiable. You can feel that as well prominently, and they will be dispersed solids and they will settle down. This is the watery or whatever base you have, and they settle down. This is the suspension, that is the syrup. Science and tech also covered in this news. Anyway, let's move ahead. Suggested solutions. What are the suggested solutions in this case? First things first, creation of consolidated national database. One consolidated national database has to be there, which has the data of each and every manufacturer that there exists with respect to all the details that are required. That database should include license information, whether the person is licensed or not, license was there, it has been cancelled, re-given, all the history, everything. Inspection records should also be mentioned so that everyone knows about every manufacturer and the inspection and the report as well. Third, marketing approvals. if there are any marketing approvals required or is given, and the regulatory actions that are being taken by other states. It can be good practices for you as well, and on whom those regulatory actions were taken. If you do that, then in sync all the 37 regulators including the national regulator can work in unison in order to ensure that this issue is comprehensively and once and for all resolved. And you need to look into other things also, so that other things tomorrow do not create a problem for us. Thank you.